Welcome to today's episode of Authors Learning Something New. On today's show, we have Ragnar Avery and 10 years of landscape photography, and Rick Tabor, your host, author of Children of the Scroll. On today's show, we have Ragnar Avery, an incredibly talented landscape and various other topics photographer. I'm your host, Rick Tabor, author of Children of the Scroll. Ragnar, thank you so much for being on today. This is going to be a lot of fun talking to you.
Oh, I totally agree, Rick. It's great to catch up with you again, and I'm excited to talk about some of my work and learn a little bit about your work.
Thanks, I appreciate it. And thanks for reading my book, by the way. That's awesome.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
All right, so can you please tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I retired from Dow Corning in Midland, Michigan after a 31-year career in 2013, and then moved into a consulting role that wrapped up in 2017. Um, but during that period of basically 2013 on, I started really getting into photography. It was something that I'd done when I was younger in the film days, but it really I struggled with it because I couldn't get the feedback, to understand how it was working. So then I was introduced to the modern digital cameras and realized all the feedback you get on how your image quality is and if you're getting pursuing down the correct area. And so I started taking a deep dive into photography, and that really culminated in 2016 when I started saying I'm going to not worry about equipment, but worry about going to the places where the great photos are made. One of the areas that I really love to go photograph is the coast of Oregon, all up and down the coast of Oregon, especially the southwest corner. Um, it's just amazing and has so many different elements of great light,
Huh.
moody skies. You got the surf, you got the tides moving in. And then I try to incorporate travel with going to other places, for instance, Iceland or Ireland.
Iceland.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been to Iceland twice. So, the work that I'll be talking about today is flow with movement, right? But one time we went to Oregon and it's the landscape photographer's nemesis, perfectly blue skies.
That's
Makes a
bad?
that's sad for a landscape photographer because there's no drama in the sky. And so I did 5 days of
Drama in the
Oregon coast
sky. I
night
love that.
photography.
That's
Yeah.
wow.
So I had to adapt a whole different element of night photography, and it ended up being some of my best images there too. But that's like a different collection. Okay. So
Nice. You've been to Oregon, you've been to Iceland, you've been to
yeah,
Ireland.
yeah.
Where else have you been?
Yeah, so another area that I really enjoy shooting is in like the Southwest. The national parks are a great source of inspiration. I got to do winter photography in Yellowstone.
Oh, wow.
I've gone through and done like Arches National Park and Moab. I've done it as a day element, and then I went to a workshop where all we shot was night photography in Moab, which was kind of magical. And then we go out to Tucson about every year, and so shooting the saguaro cactus and the desert, and they have incredible sunsets with the dust that's kicked up.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my other place. Those are really repeaters.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
You've got a
actually,
show going, right?
yeah.
Well,
So there
where is that
is
show?
so that show it's called Connections and Flow. And this is me down here. This
Nice.
is this is the work of my 90-year-old mentor and good friend Cal Bolter. And we teamed up to develop this exhibit that we've now shown in two locations. But this
Wow.
is our primary one. This is Crooked Tree Arts Center in Traverse City, Michigan, and we'll be in this exhibit till the end of May.
I'm just cheering you on that you sell tons there. And
Oh,
you don't even
I
have to
really
be there.
appreciate it.
That's
And it was
incredible.
fun coming up the collection because I was reviewing images with Cal with the idea of doing an exhibit with him. And he looked at my images and he says, you know, I don't like landscape photography. But he said, I like your landscape photography because I see the movement, I see motion, I see flow. And so he worked with me and we collected about 16 images that were specific for this exhibit. And then I have a catalog that complements the exhibit. And it was interesting. Once he did that, I cannot tell you, Rick, how many people have come up to me and said almost the same thing verbatim. It ended up being that I realized one of my happiest places to be is like knee deep in a moving stream or a coast, in the water in the coast, and feeling that water coming through and seeing the abstract images that move in front of my camera lens. I realized, yeah, because I will many of my images, I'll spend 2 or 3 hours just doing the same thing because every image is different when you're doing motion. So, Rick, I want to just tell you, I really enjoyed your book. It was a fun
Thank you.
read. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the character development. I enjoyed the plot line. It had a nice movement through it. Um, and then the other thing I really enjoyed was some of your wit. It made it fun. That was why it was fun to read because every once in a while you throw a little bit of wit in there and it kind of ease the tension of some of the other things that might be going on in the plot line. So kudos to you. Well written, and I really felt like I could read it at the end a sequel or a second copy or whatever you call it. So good work. But I got a question for you.
Thank you. Thank you,
So
Ragnar. It's very kind.
yeah, so my question is, what was your inspiration for the book?
My daughter and I, Sam, we're driving along. We run across this intersection where there's a big culvert, and there's this little lady in a very long dress, bent over with a basket. It looks like she's picking berries or something like that. And Sam sort of looks at me and goes, and it's dusk, and so it's dark, ish. She looks at me and she goes, Dad, who is that woman? I said, Oh, that's the mud woman, honey. She's
Oh,
she's looking for children who are out too late to digest. And so, of course, hits me on the arm, because she knows me at this point. I'm
oh,
a
cool.
big goofball. Anyway, so I said, oh, that could be sort of a cool book,
Mm-hmm.
and so the original title was Mud Woman. It
Mm-hmm.
evolved to the pandemic scroll because Brian's mom dies in the pandemic.
Right.
But then the focus group said, "Hey, look, we don't like the title. We think a better title would be." And one of them had the idea of using Children of the Scroll because there's so many beings coming out of the scroll, and so the scroll needed an origin, and so I started looking into origin stories of scrolls, and I said,
Yeah.
maybe a golem would be an appropriate way to go
Yeah.
to get Brian's mom back and give this woman life, but it has some other properties as well. It can create almost anything you want life-wise. And actually, there's a scroll called the Zephyr Yetzirah in Jewish faith that has. I'm not Jewish. I'm a Christ follower, and
Okay.
so. But in the Jewish faith, there's this scroll that's sort of legendary, and it was created by Abraham. It was further utilized by a famous rabbi in Prague to make golems and to protect the Jewish people from the
Right.
pogroms of the time, the persecution that was going on.
Yeah.
So it just sort of came together, and I told the story in a quite different way than probably golems were ever intended to be told, but I think it worked out. All right, so show us one of your photographs. Which photograph are you going to start with today?
Yeah, let's start with Secret Beach because these photographs have stories. And so I'll try to give a little bit of context and a little bit of inspiration around that work. Yeah, so the interesting thing about Secret Beach is it's one of my very first times being on a workshop on the Oregon coast. And it was the very first day.
Oh, wow.
And that image ended up solidifying my interest in this immersive element of going on multiple day workshop to get good images. But what I recognize and allow for is that I might go on a workshop for 5 days and maybe get three images that I think are really good. And this is one of them. It was the very first day. We had incredible tide and wave action. When we were walking down this slippery, muddy path, you could hear the roar of the giant waves hitting the cliff. And then they would bounce back and create these patterns that you're seeing. And so it's visually very interesting, but again, the flow element allows your eye to go through the image and almost create your own narrative about what you're seeing.
Nice. Nice. It's absolutely beautiful, Ragnar. I love the way the water is almost coming up towards you on the we'll go to the next picture then. Picture number two.
Yeah, so that's Lower Lewis Falls, and there's a couple of interesting elements to that one. One is that the Lewis River, we actually had to get into the river, which was flowing pretty strong in the spring, and you have to wade up shore about 100 yards into this slippery rocks and everything to
Wow.
find this little cave that's across from the waterfall.
Waterfalls. Yeah.
And that was so
Wonderful.
interesting because there's a bit of a physical challenge and almost like a small bit of adventure. And that's the part that sometimes can be fun, but also terrifying.
And all right, picture number three. Now, this one I got to say is my favorite of all the
Oh,
pictures
yeah.
that I've seen that you've taken so far. So, for what
Oh,
that's
thank
worth,
you. I really appreciate that. So,
it looks
Cape
super
Disappointment.
dangerous, though.
Well, I kind of broke some rules that I never should break. So Cape Disappointment is famous for this area because again it has a sheer cliff, and so as the tide comes up, these waves, if the wave conditions are right, they'll come up and then they'll bounce off the cliff, and then you create these explosions. So that's the beautiful part. But I go there and I'm setting up, and the place I'm supposed should be setting up, there's like must be 50 or 100 tripods because there's a bunch of workshop buses down at that end. So I said, well, I can't do
Wow.
that. So then I started looking up and down the coast, and I did the thing you're never supposed to do on the Oregon coast, and that is I climbed up on top of these giant deadfall tree, the logs, the giant logs,
Yeah.
multiple ton logs. I set up my tripod on there, but you got to recognize that the tide's coming in. So if you feel any movement in that log, you better get off there because the logs can separate and you can fall in between and be crushed.
Oh,
So I set up, I'm there for 4 hours and I'm watching. It's almost like drama. I'm watching these waves come in and they be little ones. And then they, about another hour later, they get a little bigger. And then,
oh,
like on about hour three and a half, you're seeing these big explosions coming up as high as that lighthouse. I mean,
wow.
that was at least a 75 to 100-foot cliff, and it's coming up as high as that. So I'm just excited. I've filled up a whole card, and I'm kind of keeping going. Then all of a sudden, I hear this kaboom, and I kid you not, that lightning strike felt like it was only 100 yards away.
Well, it was a lightning strike.
A
Oh my
lightning
goodness.
strike. And I'm
Wow.
set up next to a foghorn tower. And I thought, I've been here 4 hours. I think I'm ready to go.
And then number four is very almost spiritual.
Yes,
Tell me about that.
100%. We're on our way back to Portland to fly out. So we stop off at Cape Perpetual, which has this famous hole that they call Thor's Well. So I come over and see, and there's this channel and it had all this sea foam. You know how on lakes and stuff they'll have an inversion and there'll be like this
Yeah,
foam, and it's
yeah.
going up and down this channel. It looks like a giant washing machine, back and forth. And there was a little blowhole that would just puff out as the waves would come in, and that's the blowhole. So I set up across it, and luckily it had a cliff behind it, so it create its own backdrop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just worked that scene for probably 45 minutes and then went home and I got all these crazy interesting designs out of there. But that one is drop dead my favorite one.
So yeah, so tell authors what they might need to know to help them become successful business wise.
Well, you're doing exactly what you need to be doing as a creative. You're with this YouTube channel and interviewing and then cross promoting. Uh, I think it's an excellent idea. But some of the fundamentals, as you develop your fan base, they're going to be asking to hear more about what's Rick's next creative thinking, or who are the people Rick is inspired by, or who has Rick learned from. So what you're developing here, I think, is really strong and has a strong potential. And then the other part for all of us is you just got to get out there. You got to work a little bit of the area where your target people are, your market, develop your tribe, right? And then keep them connected. So this channel is a good one. I have a website that goes through a company called Art Storefront, and they offer a lot of marketing support. And what I do like about it is they're doing, of course, the Facebook and Instagram element, every day. But what Art Storefront do also is they produce a email that I can take out to my super fans, and they get that once or twice a month, and it shows images that are coming up. And then I can also use that same platform to give people updates, for instance, on the flow exhibit, which we're hoping to continue to do other ones, or my catalog, right? So my catalog
Yeah.
that supports the flow, I can make a connection with them through there, and then use Insta and Facebook.
You have a website where I know you do. What is the name of your website?
Yeah, so my website is ragnaraveryphotography.com.
There you go, readers, authors, and photographers. Uh, Ragnar Avery's work is the next work that you need to buy and put on your walls all through your house because he's such a fantastic, talented photographer. And yeah, thanks for watching another episode of Authors Learning Something New. And if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to get more just like this. Ragnar, thank you very much. Great having you on the show.
Thank you so much, Rick.